This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for product, and fowlibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists, as well as our guest lecturer members King Pearlshine, Vite Ramen, Mognite, and Darren Noblock. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will to your favorite ever live Force of Will vodcast. It's Office Hours, featuring myself, DMO73, and I'm joined today by Lance Maverick.
Hello, hello. How is everyone
Twitch.tv/Lance Maverick.
Front. Oh, no.
I'm doing the plugs up front. Gotta get it in there.
Is that just
you and me hanging out tonight, Lance? No.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay.
Getting you the plugs right out the gate so I don't forget it at the tail end.
True.
We're here. We're going to talk about spoilers. We're going to talk about a lot of cool stuff. Before we jump into the spoilers, just some housekeeping. As always, if you like what we're doing here on the channel, want to consider supporting us, you can click that join button down below, become the member of the channel. Easiest way to support us financially, but we also just love if you like and share and subscribe, as always. Also, if you haven't already checked it out, you can get pre-orders for this set from Odyssey Games. You can find the link in the description below. They're out of pre-release kits, but they do have the boxes, and let's not forget, the boxes are going to be insane value this time around because of the Memoria pack.
You can finally have more Dark Alices.
Finally have more Dark Alices into the environment, which is going to be insane with how many boxes we're going to open for the channel.
True.
Also, longtime friends of the channel, Vite Ramen, have just actually today dropped a brand new flavor, Radiant Crab. I can't pronounce this last word. Radiant Crab Ryu. It's like a spicy, peppery seafood crab version. I'm very much excited to pick some of this up. You can check them out. There is a link in the description to that as well to get some of that ordered in. Go support them. Longtime fans of the channel, longtime supporters of the channel. Absolutely hyped about that. And then our last piece of here's news that you have to know is that our signups right now for the August 19th Ruler School Discord event are now live in the description below. You can get signed up for that. It is going to be a Wanderer event on August 19th. And the playmat for that one to deal with the heat of August is Raging Messiah.
Very appropriate.
So come sign up for that one. It's going to be great. Looking forward to it. Only 2 more fundraiser events before FowFest, so you're going to definitely want to get these playmats. They're not going to be released anywhere else. Okay, I think that's everything, Lance.
Are you sure?
Did I miss anything?
No, I think you're good.
I think we're good? Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about some spoilers, shall we?
Spoilers!
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. We're going to start with Paran. This is the Fairy of Counseling Light. 1 cost 4/4 fairy that taps to produce any color for virtuous skill chance or fairies. And you can banish it to prevent all damage that would be dealt to your fairies until end of turn.
I dig it. It's good for fairies. Mana dorks in the old fairy list worked out very well for them. And also it's applicable after you don't need the mana acceleration. That's a solid card.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely solid card.
Feels like a good rare.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, the fact that it produces any color for fairies, like there are some
we'll see
really good fairies.
Ones. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some really good fairies out there. Fairy of Trickery still to this day is like a pretty freaking solid card.
Yeah.
So like being able to also just like incidentally throw that into fairy build lists and everything else, like this is the kind of mana dork that fairies have wanted for a long time. Combining the fact that you also can play the old fairy stone that produces white base, but any color for fairies means that like fairy decks are not going to be strapped for like being able to go wide color wise, which is very cool.
Yeah, color fixing definitely there.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. The fairy stands are eating good this set. Yeah, absolutely. Next up we have
a funny little tribe.
Yeah, and we have, so here's the big question, talking about fairies, right? What cluster are the Ascended rulers technically part of?
So they are considered whatever set they were printed in.
Right. Okay, and that's kind of huge, because
Yeah.
if we're about to get tag for Alice cluster,
Yes.
that means Ascended Fairy Alice is about to have a tag.
Yes.
And also a massive new suite of fairy stuff. So, like...
All right, who you tagging her with?
I have absolutely no idea, but something. I think my go-to for... I think my probably...
fairies.
Yeah, I think probably the easiest one is just, like, the safest bet is just, like, Reflect tag.
Mm-hmm. Man, I don't want to think of a world with reflect with tag.
Yeah, as long as reflect can only tag with Alice cluster rulers, I'm okay with it. That's fine. That's fine for me. Give those rulers that boost. Let them have
Sure.
that tool. It's
Let them
okay.
cook.
Let them cook. So next up we have Fairy Wayfinder. 2 white, 6/6 flying. Draw X cards, where X is the number of other fairy entities you control. I mean, it's a nice hand refill.
Well, it has a very interesting interaction with a card from last set.
Yeah.
Lingering Scent
Lingering
of Fairies.
Scent. Yeah, Lingering Scent.
Hey,
yeah, for
I'll
sure.
do 1 mana, draw X cards. Seems
Oh, also
good.
keep in mind that Lingering Scent also cantrips,
X
so
plus
it's kind
1
of
cards.
yeah. So it's essentially just like Fairy Wayfinder plus Lingering Scent will kind of count Fairy Wayfinder, because
Yeah,
then
true.
the Lingering Scent would just draw you one. So that's not a bad like refill for this deck for sure.
Yeah.
It's certainly going to have hand advantage for sure.
Well, that was always something fairies originally used to deal with. They was just like, yeah, if your board got cracked, there was just no way for you to come back because draw power was
Yeah.
unlimited.
Yeah, so this is a very good card for them. It's also just natural. Like, I understand that people are like, oh, Tinkerbell's not a fairy.
Yeah.
But also, like, you're going to have Lingering Scent. So, like, good fairies that are 2 cost means you're still going to be playing Tinkerbell in these fairy decks.
Probably, yeah.
Like, think about this way, too. Lingering Scent plus, like, again, Fairy of Trickery. Tap something down and it doesn't recover during its opponent's next recovery phase.
Valid.
Like,
Yeah. No, it's a good
that's
trick.
a great trick.
Quick
Like,
cast,
there's
too.
a lot of stuff to be able to think about it. A Bug's Life vibes, very much so.
Oh yeah, with the little water droplet leaf.
Yeah, I dig it. So cool card. Not, I mean, like, nothing insane, but like we're already seeing this early them talking about like, oh, Lingering Scent was going to have cards next set, and
Yeah.
you're looking at this and you're like, ah, yeah, this is what you meant.
Well, I think Wayfinder's like a really good thing where it's just like they realize that there's a weakness with this go wide creature based strategy that's just like, you need to draw cards, here's a way to draw cards. So it's like,
Yeah.
they're acknowledging the weakness of it and then like trying to fix it.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Okay, next up we have White Fairy Flower. 1 cost white flower. J/resonators you control gain +1/+1 for each flower addition with different names you control. On enter, put a 4/4 light fairy resonator token with flying into the field.
This rule text made me so excited. I think me and you have spoken about this before, but I was missing. I feel like we don't have like we haven't had a super good token ruler in a while. And I was just like,
Yeah.
yes, I like tokens. I like putting things onto the field that are incidentally valuable that create a body as well.
The last one who did it was Belial.
Yes, which
That was like the last one.
and then like Feetsing, like Violet,
Yeah, like elves. It was like Feetsing,
Oberon.
Belial, now Tina.
Yeah, not Oberon, Fairer.
Farrah dealt with tokens a little bit. Yeah,
A little
his
bit,
like
yeah.
elves like made other elf tokens.
Yeah, Spirit Color Elf, as it were.
Yeah, for sure. This card's cool. This card also gives a really big hint to kind of what they're very clearly going at with this set, and I'll talk about that when we get to the cards that are relevant.
True.
So I thought this was a nice card to kind of like tease us to some of the things they're thinking about for this set design. It's also just nice because this, keep in mind, it by itself is a flower, so like the token it's making is actually going to be a 5/5.
Yeah.
And like a 5/5 token is infinitely better than a 4/4 token in Force of Will damage thresholds.
Yeah,
so like
400
keep that
is,
in
like,
mind.
super awkward, but hey, make it a 5/5. Oh, now it's a little bit tougher to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. The damage thresholds right now are like 4, 10, like 4, 8, 10 are like the damage thresholds in FOW. Pretty typically, that's kind of where they've settled. So 5 is like awkward, right? It's kind of like 9 is awkward and 11 is awkward. So like the fact that just naturally this brings in and puts an awkward flyer into the field is pretty cool. Let's see. Next up we have
Should be
Fairy Twins.
Yeah, speaking of token generation.
Yeah. This is what is it called? The little robot?
Yeah, twin robots.
This is just twin robots, just better.
Yeah, just double the power and toughness.
And flying.
Yeah.
Because
No, this card's honestly insane. Like putting 800 toughness or 800 power onto the board for 1 mana with flying is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Also, like, insane art. Like,
yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Is it strange that, like, to me, as I'm seeing this card art this set, like, I've been particularly impressed with the card art this set so far. Like, it's felt very, like, Alice Cluster era artwork.
It does.
Like,
I can imagine. Yeah, like Perin Fairy of Counseling Light was like definitely looks like. For some reason, it screams Battle for Ataraxia to me.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I can see that too. It's just like something about this card art just like screams like Alice Cluster feel vibe, which, I mean, considering we're back in Ataraxia, even if it's a digital one, is like, okay, I see you. I see what's going on here. Like, this is very cool. Next up we have, that's card art that I used for a thing. That's FowFest prize support pictures. Okay, here we go. Virtuous Crusade. This is going to bring a lot of conversation.
Gotcha.
1 cost, white quick cast virtual skill. Play this card only if you control a J/ruler named Tina, which, by the way, all of the virtuous skills have that flavor text on them. Choose one if this
flavor
card was
text. No, that's rules text.
Rules text, yeah. Choose one if this card was chained. Choose up to 2 instead. Draw 2 cards or get 2 flying 4/4 tokens, and then give your whole board of Eternal until end of turn. And then we have the flavor of chaining, and specifically Blazing Skill, Enchanting Skill, Wild Skill, or Deathly Skill. Here's the text. If this is the first spell after a Blazing Skill, Enchanting Skill, Wild Skill, or Deathly Skill you played this turn, this card is chained. So before we get into any of that, as I read this, and so I'm curious to see what you think, Lance, I think that this is the first card. It's chained if it's the first card played by either player after one of the other skills is used.
If this is the first spell after a blazing spell that you played this turn.
Yeah, but it doesn't say if it's the first spell you played after a blazing skill you played is played. It just says if this is the first spell after a blazing skill that you played.
Yeah, so like if you do like spell A and then blazing skill, then this, it's chained.
Yeah, but if I go spell A, if I go blazing skill, pass priority to my opponent, they go response with a spell, and then I go Virtuous Crusade, I don't think Virtuous Crusade is chained.
No, it is definitely chained.
I don't think so.
Why?
This is the debate. So,
because chaining specifically mentions you, everything that you've done.
Nah, but it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't.
If this
it says
the first spell
if this spell is the first spell. And here's the
Oh,
the
you
semantics.
think you have to hold priority?
If this is the first spell after a blank skill spell that you played, so the thing skill that you played is referring to the first skill, and this specifically says if this is the first spell. It doesn't say the first spell you played after a skill you played. It says if it's the first spell after a skill that you've played. Which means you have to either hold priority or hope that your opponent doesn't do anything and then cast a new skill.
I think that that's very clunky, and I think that the intent here is that you just have to have played the other spell this turn.
Yeah, I disagree, and so it'll be curious to see what comes out of the Q&A.
That just seems.
And I have a pitch, and I have a pitch as to why.
It just seems needlessly complex.
Potentially, but I have a flavor vibe as to why.
Well, it'd be like a combo, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And because these two rulers are specifically, like, it's feeding into the fact that you're going to have these different combinations of tag of these rulers who are using these skills. So it's all about this idea of these 1-2 combos. So, I think So I will disagree with you, and the debate is totally fine about it. But we'll have to see. But I
just
kind of
have to
like
see.
I kind of like the vibe of you have to hold priority. Do you think they intend to wrote skill you played after skill you've played? Yeah, the fact that they say in one part of the sentence you played and not you played in the other part of the sentence is what gives me the feeling that it is specifically this idea of the 1-2 punch. I will say though, there is some interesting ways that you can mess with your opponent on this if it's the way that I'm thinking. So, say you cast something, Lance, and I respond with a different skill, right? Unchained different skill. And then you let that one resolve, and we go back to your first thing resolving, and you go, well, I'm not putting anything else on the chase. And then I go, cool, second different skill. That second different skill would then be chained. So you can you can do some really weird chase manipulation with this to get some bonus effects, and I'm looking forward to it.
So I think you could play it still like that. I just don't see
I
this
agree.
as having in any reliance on your opponent.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be fully on the player itself.
As worded, I think it does rely on holding priority to get the most value out of it.
Yeah. Oh boy, we have to explain holding priority to a whole slew of people now.
I mean, if anything, this is like the easiest way to explain it, because you're just like, you want to do these things back to back, so just say that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I read it as you have to be the one to play them, but I see what you mean. No, yeah, what I don't mean to this, Rustin, is if my opponent plays a blazing skill and I play this, that I'm suddenly chaining. Like,
Right.
I'm not benefiting from my opponent playing skills. I'm benefiting from me using 2 skills back to back. That's me. I just keep seeing the vision of, like, let's get weeby about it, like Sword Art Online, where they do the switching between the two of them to do like a follow-up attack. Like, that's what this feels like. First strike, follow-up, right? That's what I get the vibe from this, and why I think it works that way.
Yeah, I think the main thing that I'm seeing from it is that you not casting it, or you not holding priority doesn't change it that it's the first spell you've cast after a blazing skill.
And that's why I'm hung up on it says the first spell after, as opposed to the first spell you played after.
No, that's what it says.
It does.
If this is this first spell after a blazing skill, enchanted skill, wind skill, or deathly skill, you played this turn.
If this is the first spell,
yes,
after
rules
a
text.
spell that you have played.
No, it
so
says
the first after. The first after does not say the first spell you played after a spell you played. It says the first spell after a spell you played. That's why I'm talking about it. You got to break it down into 2 halves. Right?
Yeah, but I see.
And that's why we got to have that Q&A document.
We just need Q&A.
Like,
I would read this as you just you can't do anything else after or other than play this card for it to be chained.
I would agree, except my only stipulation is that if my opponent does anything after I've played the first spell, this isn't chained.
I think it's like a cool flavor win. I think these are way worse if they work that way.
I think it's fine either way.
So let's assume that these have quick cast, right?
Yeah.
These become infinitely better if they're chainable after you've done it in your untap and then played it in your main phase afterwards.
Yeah. Well, technically you would still be able to do that, provided your opponent didn't play a spell before you played the next one.
Yeah. I just don't see your opponent not being able to. I think your opponent interrupting things is so ugh, no, I don't agree with that.
You got to disrupt it's a combo breaker.
Yeah, I guess.
If your opponent interrupts your combo, you're not comboing anymore. So your momentum is halted, right? So there's the Q&A document will explain everything.
Of course,
but this was a big button topic in our group chats that I was a part of when looking at this. I was like,
did anyone else agree with you?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Quite a few people actually agreed with me, specifically because it says first spell after as opposed to first spell you played after. Like
Right.
that's the hang up. The lack of those words in the first half of that sentence is what yeah, we're gonna need a whiteboard or something. Just like you forgot. I mean, I'm gonna have to make like an entire. Once we know exactly how it works, I'm going to have to make a tutorial video just about how these spells work. This is a situation where it's chained. This is a situation where it's not. Get a flow chart. Like, cast a skill. Did you hold priority? No. Okay. We see what happens. So we got some more virtuous skills though. So let's dig into those. First up is Meteor Dive, 2 cost, quick cast, virtuous skill. Play this card if you only control Tina. Pay 0 rather than paying this card's cost if it's the first spell named Meteor Dive you played that targets a J ruler. So you can cast other Meteor Dives targeting other stuff, but the first time Meteor Dive targets a J ruler you control, it's free.
Right.
And it buffs all your Fairy J res gain swiftness, and target J resonator gains 1,000, eternal, and barrier until end of turn. So the thing doing the dive essentially gets to be safe and huge. I like it.
Yeah, it's a really cool card. Talking's difficult. Yeah, no, I really like the design of this. It's very flavorful.
Yeah. And it feels great for like a go wide strat, because it's just like it's not pumping the whole board. It's just letting the whole board go in. It's pumping the big thing,
yes.
And which is important because like Tina gives all your fairies a buff.
Yeah.
So protecting Tina and buffing Tina makes sense as like the finisher, right?
Yeah.
So I like that a lot. Berserker at home. Kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. Being able to give things that shouldn't have swiftness has always been good.
Yeah.
Turns out.
And next up we have Star Aurora, 1 cost quick cast. Destroy all attacking J/res or J/resonators that attacked.
That is an interesting distinction of rules text.
Yeah.
That have attacked.
Well, we have another card that has the same thing with Light Curtain.
Yes.
The Brave. It was the Brad card. It ironically weirdly makes this card like kind of not great for that mode, because you like have to like take the hit to like have it do anything. But remove target non-magic stone, non-J/resonator entity your opponent controls from the game. This is very important because regalia are the contracts this time around.
You can deny them the contract.
Yeah, that's kind of huge. You could deny them the contract in response to them trying to contract, and that's big.
Gross.
Awakening, rest a recovered fairy J/resonator you control, and then when you do, you just get to put you like buff up that fairy essentially. That's kind of a cool way to do an awakening, to like get value by playing the awakening.
Yeah.
Like, so like that's a neat awakening effect.
And it's but it also just like takes that one out of the running for the turn.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's like,
for sure.
it's you don't get to further your go wide strategy, but it's like, but next turn it'll be bigger.
Yeah, for sure. I like this card a lot. I'm a very big proponent of like introducing threats and answers in the same set, and knowing that Tina will be able to like mess with regalia, or will have ways to mess with regalia,
right,
is nice. So it's good.
Yeah, solid card.
Next up we move into
We're into red ones, right?
Just to show these off real quick.
Oh, the actual ruler.
This is Dominatus, the Star Gladius. We've seen it before, but here's the like close up of it. 1 cost quick cast Mythic.
Image.
Crisp. Get a 4/4 Light Fairy token with flying and cantrip on enter. Seal is to be able to contract is 6 stones, -1 for every fairy you control.
Very easy.
Very easy to
Like-
flip. Especially since it produces 1 by itself. So like, okay.
So let's see. You could do twin fairies, stones. So you're at 3. Then this flower. Yeah, you could contract on turn 2.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Yeah. All good. No big deal. Don't worry about it. And then we have Tina, the Virtuous Stella, 10/10 flying, fairy J/Resonator, so includes herself, gain +2/+2. And whenever you play a Virtuous skill, put a token into the field with flying, and put 2 +1/+1 counters on every J/ruler you control. So, like the dive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That then those fairies that she makes will have swiftness.
Yeah.
And +2/+2.
No, yeah, that's like very, very direct and obvious game plan, but it's solid.
Yeah, very much a white, we're going in kind of deck. I'm very excited about this, though, that it seems so straightforward, because I'm very excited to open up 15 boxes and have so much extra of this stuff that I can build just like really basic, like even without tag.
Yeah, no,
like
for
the idea of like building just a pure fairy Tina like starter deck.
Yeah, or like
here you go.
If this kind of design philosophy is going through the entire set, these would make phenomenal monocolored starter decks for people.
Yeah. Yeah, you could even with like just 2 of the contract, right? Just to be like, you're not gonna flip all the time, but you're gonna like, here's the fairy deck. Here you go. Like I like this a lot. I plan on building
with the Regalia having Mythic though. It feels kind of bad to play 4 of them in a deck potentially.
Yeah, I think probably the average is going to be like 3.
Yeah, definitely not a full play set.
It's usually kind of what we settled on for some of the like Alice Origins Regalia rulers was like 3. One thing to note that's very interesting though is when this is very silly, is the fact that if Tina the Regalia flips into a contract, which means the Regalia is no longer on field, which means I can cast a Regalia.
Yeah.
And so then as soon as my one Tina dies, I can just recontract immediately.
Got another one in the chamber.
But one thing to note is that contracting, I believe, can only be done during your turn.
Yeah.
Let's go back.
The contracting is Zet sorcery.
Only during your turn. Instant speed possible, but only during your turn, which is... Thank you. Thank you for that design. Let's not have quick cast Judgement, please. We had that for a bit with Feasting, and I hated it.
I mean, we have it with Killua.
Fair enough. They got to get rid of 4 ice counters. At that point in time, they've earned it.
Nah.
Okay, and then from that point on, we're going to red.
Yep.
We have Boys Staring At, which is just a Gurren Lagann reference.
Staring at.
Boys staring at. We have GST, now we have BST. It's only a matter of time before we get MST. There it is. So this is just entered, it just draws a card, and it has Blazing Skill in addition to its other races, as long as it's in the graveyard. And then if it's discarded, when it's put into the graveyard from your hand, you draw a card. So if it's discarded or anything else, it draws you a card. So weird, extra random, like Violet support.
Yeah, I can kind of... Yeah, Violet support, kinda. I could also see him having something similar to Scarlet, where pitch cards for effects.
Oh yeah, for sure. Pitch card to burn something, absolutely. The Aurora doesn't target. Yep, for sure, that's true. It can kill Ray Asdevils. Once in blocker step is the declared attacker considered as attacked. Yeah. You can absolutely low-write the contract.
Yeah, it's just like how you can just...
Because it's an activate ability,
It's
right?
just like how you can number 13 or any cancel on a contract.
Yep. Dark Discard is Man's Staring At. Yeah, for sure. That's MST. I like it. Hate this being your discard at end of turn.
Yeah,
well, so the thing is, if you discard it and then it just goes back to your hand, and you have to go back to discard to hand size anyway.
Hey,
so Rustin, that doesn't
chain these. Get them all into your yard. Just top deck hero the 4 of into your graveyard.
There you go. Piece of cake.
We'll talk about the reason for that later.
Yeah. And next up we have Electra. This is Electra, the Shooting Star of Fire. 3 red and 1, 16/16 with swiftness and bloodlust. Haven't seen that in a while. For those of you who don't know, it does mean that you have to attack every turn with this card if able. This card cannot be canceled, Damage cannot be prevented. Looking at you, Dark Tree. J/Resonators dealt damage by this card cannot attack or block. Players dealt damage by this card cannot play spells. And on enter, you get an armament sub-J ruler, or sub-ruler you own from outside the game that doesn't share a name. Put it into your ruler area, then it deals X hundred damage to your opponent and everything they control, where X is the attack of this card. This card is your new best friend for Priscia's Secret of Friends decks.
Oh boy, then I get to pull that bloody war axe out of my bulk bin, and ooh, no more blocking.
Yeah.
No, I think this card's great.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before, but that can't be canceled is what's doing a lot of heavy lifting here.
Yeah, for sure.
4 drops historically, not good performers.
4-cost non-quick cast.
Yeah.
It's got to be like this kind of impactful effect, right? I think a meaningful similar 4-drop, like the last time we saw a 4-drop non-quick cast thing have any kind of like relevancy was Eldorado Pearlshine.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, if you got that thing to resolve, you did just get so much value out of it that you were like, yeah, it's worth it. It's fine. Like this has that same kind of vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
And
hey, but you know how to give this quick cast.
I'm listening.
Priscia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Secret of Friends, right? Like it's a really solid way for Secret of Friends decks to have like a good finishing bomb. Like this is a very good control finish bomb for sure. I really like this card a lot. It's probably honestly not very good in Electro decks.
No, it really isn't, because you're like splitting your armaments from your good armaments from your extra deck to your sideboard, which gets kind of awkward.
Yeah, there's a world where like we don't necessarily know if you're allowed to play, like we don't think that you would be allowed to play like
Multiple
orb
copies
in your sword deck, armament deck, and in your sideboard, because like that's the one to grab, right?
Oh,
it's just
yeah,
orb
yeah.
every single time. But like being able to let other decks suddenly just have orb sitting in their back pocket is like, oh, that's kind of neat.
Terrible.
Don't hate it. Unban altar so we can quick cast.
I mean,
stop.
there's definitely a world with Tina having all of these like eternal and barrier thing spells to put headband.
Potentially.
It's like just no eternal. Bye.
Yeah. Or you're talking about Scythe, Sickle?
Yeah, Sickle. Yeah.
Yeah, Sickle. Other red decks will love this Rezo for sure. Yeah, no, this is a very cool card. Like I love to see
this
it.
doesn't have to go in Electro at all.
No. If it had like a discard effect to like get an armament out of your EX deck, is like the only way that I wish this card was better.
Yeah.
Just so it like had a home in Electra.
Yeah.
But I see why it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I see why it didn't. Like pay 1 red, discard this card, get an armament at random would kind of serve as like the opposite to Carmilla, pay 1, discard, upgrade.
Yeah.
And so like that would have been nice, but it does so much by itself that you're like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah, like
it's okay.
it putting the armament into field does not cause the damage to happen. So
yeah. There's nothing in the CR about not being able to have multiple copies of armaments. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, with Raging Messiah, this card's goofy.
Let me make sure not to reveal the exclusive spoilers we're going to share tomorrow.
I don't get fun things.
I can show you the artwork. Here we go. I'll show you the artwork because I spoiled these. So here's our first one. This is this flamey sword boy. Don't know what that card does. Who knows? Nobody knows. This
probably
is
has swiftness. If I had to guess.
Weird dragon thing, looking
kind of flowery.
Yeah, so I mean, blue is the flower color.
Blue,
So
yes.
like, yeah, very much that makes sense. Then we got we got a chameleon thing. Look at him, he's
probably a green card.
Who knows what that card is? Who knows?
A beast of some sort.
Probably.
Yeah.
Hey, Priscia's call to action. There we go.
Yeah, ooh, gas.
That card actually might start seeing play again if there's like a big beast
if we
deck,
get
right?
another bomb on here, it's like, oh yeah, maybe.
And then weird horror thing. Wonder what ruler that's for.
Wonder what black ruler that's for.
Yeah, I wonder which one. No way. It's the Flaming Swordsman. You will just no tell us, so do not lie. These are going to get posted tomorrow. We're going to have a video tomorrow. You can come check out those exclusive spoilers tomorrow. There's 4 of them, obviously. You can see the artwork here. Come back tomorrow to find out exactly what they are. Okay, we got 2 more cards to talk about. And then we got to talk about just the set in general in a little bit. So this is Paran, the Fairy of Lively Fire. 1 cost, 4/4 fairy with flying. Whenever a Jade Ruler is put into the field under your control, put this card from your graveyard into the field. Banish this card to ping something for 200 damage to a player or J/Resonator.
I'm kind of on this one.
Is it weird that I kind of like it for K1 Baja?
It's solid for order rulers.
I've been like, K1 Baja kind of likes this because we can banish this to Bahamut for cost to Judgment.
Get
and then get it right back, and then banish it to ping something and do Nighttime Raiders.
I mean, yeah, that certainly is a play line.
That gives us more use out of Bahamut, which the deck has kind of sorely not had a ton of great use for it unless you're playing the Artillerist package.
Mm-hmm.
This feels very similar to like Flame Sprite, right? It just has that recursion effect.
Flame Sprite was a little bit more relevant back in the day, but just 200, like a burn for 200 does not seem like wild.
Yeah, it doesn't seem crazy.
Yeah.
It does give an interesting little like weird backdoor for Asuka loops. You could just like contract loop infinitely and just ping your opponent for 200 damage. Just like, I'm gonna kill you eventually.
Yeah, that certainly is a play line. Are you gonna do it?
Probably not.
No. I think
that's an interesting point. RR support. Because you could just keep Judgmenting RR every single turn if RR gets tag. So then you can, like, if you have multiple of these in the graveyard, suddenly you get, like, 3 of them back just constantly with RR.
Gotta have enough magic to counters for that, though.
No, they don't. You just Judgment for 0.
To flip them back?
That doesn't cost anything to flip Reflective Rain back.
Which were we talking?
The OG Reflective Rain.
Doesn't it cost 2 to flip it back?
Nope. Pay 0. Let's go double check.
Yeah, I thought it costed magic counters to do that.
Nope.
Man, it's been a while.
Oh yeah. The OG refrain.
So it is.
Pay 0, put this card into your ruler area as a ruler, only during your opponent's turn.
Oh, well.
That's if RR gets tag, RR fairies. We were actually talking about order out like Ascended Alice plus RR.
Yeah.
I don't hate that. The deck's building itself.
Jeez, yeah. Just what do we do? Is Orb still banned? Yeah, Orb's still banned.
Yeah, Orb's still banned.
Oops.
Maybe might come off the ban list as one of those 10 cards they bring off the ban list.
I don't know about that one. Some things should stay dead.
Orb RR plus Ascended Fairy Alice in the year of our Lord 2023. What year is it? In fact,
we're going back to golden days. We got Fox and Priscia.
Let's go in the same deck because they're tagging together.
We get Fox and Lumia together. There we go. Golden Days deck.
Just call the deck. I couldn't decide, so I played both.
Yeah. Just no hook though.
No hook. That's okay. We don't need hook.
Yeah, we flicker griffins. Fine.
Yeah, no problem. And lastly, we have Branhart's Brigade, 2 red 5/5 with Bloodlust. And hey, look, the reminder text. This card must attack if able.
Mm-hmm.
Pay 1 red. This card gains +2/+2 for each blazing skill in your graveyard until end of turn. And you can remove a blazing skill. This card gains Swiftness, Precision, or Pierce until the end of turn.
That's a lot of commitment on a 2-drop 5/5.
I think. Hold on one second. I'm going to sneeze. Maybe.
No, so you mentioned it, so now it's not going to happen.
Yep, that's gone. This feels like the new fire breathing.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how easy it's going to be to organically get a bunch of blazing skills into your yard.
Yeah.
Because right now, I
But
mean, we've seen one, which
one,
cantrips
yeah,
for one red, which is like, yeah, okay.
yeah. I think like fire breathing was an idea, but like if you tried to bring fire breathing to Found now, it like just wouldn't be relevant. Like it'd be
No,
like,
definitely not.
pay 1+2+2. I have so many other ways to get such a bigger bonus.
Yeah.
But the
I'll
fact of
sooner
like a
cast rapid growth.
scalable, yeah, exactly. Like a scalable fire breathing will sink. Like you have my attention,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe not necessarily with this card, but if we see this theme come up in
Yeah,
Brandhart's
this
support
rules
package of like
text.
other
I'm
things
sure-
that do it,
I'm positive there will be one that's really good.
yeah, probably.
There will be a super rare that probably has the same rule of text on it.
Yeah, for sure. And so that'll be interesting to me. And once again, even looking at the cards we see now, it's just like, oh yeah, I can build a starter deck out of this.
Yeah, it's very like, hey, we're gonna play burn spells, cantrips, and stuff that are all just gonna dump themselves into the yard. Whether they're blazing skills when you cast them remains to be seen. But it's like, yeah, I got it. I hope that there is something that discards cards for you.
Yeah. The interesting thing, that's the other interesting thing too, is the fact that like both of the Marvels we've seen so far right now are like more generic than specific. So the idea of like those of us who buy a bunch of boxes having just an absolute flood of extra super rares and below, because the Marvel rares are more generic, it means like we can build a fully flushed out mono red deck
Yeah.
with super rares and stuff with all of our spares. So like that's also neat to think about. And in like this would be normally the time of the year that we would get starter decks.
Yeah, which is interesting.
So it's kind of like
it's been a while since we've had. Well, I mean, yeah, this would have been
Hero 1,
Yeah.
right?
I wonder if we. Oh, man, I miss starter decks. I think starter decks are like valuable products to be putting out once a year.
Yeah. And so like the fact that we have these like can tag but also don't have to tag like cores that we can very easily build with this set is like I kind of dig it. You know, if
Yeah.
I could walk away with like 5 Brandhart decks worth of like, you know, chaff to just like stack at my locals and be
Yeah,
like
you might not be
10
able to put the Electros in there, but you definitely have everything else.
$10. Here's a Brandhart deck. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just like easy access for players. Like I'm here for it. That's great.
And then until we have to sit down and make a Lyneth and Dollar T at R.
No, I'm not going to worry about them. They're multicolor. I'm not going to worry about multicolor starter decks. I'm just going to build my mono. My mono Stellas. New starter decks with next cluster. Yeah, most likely. Like,
Yeah, I think
after set.
they do well. So yeah, after set 6, hopefully.
Yeah, because set 6 is the finishing of Hero Cluster, and then we'll go on. So, yeah. And that's it. That's all we have so far.
Wow, that sure was a week of spoilers, Jeremy.
That was a week of spoilers. I mean, when they only do 2 a day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like what this is signposting. I like the design of the set so far.
Yeah.
I mean,
The other
I'm
thing that's
also-
very interesting to me is there's very clearly, we haven't seen it a ton, but like that first flower was a pretty big like red
Yeah.
flag, or not red flag, like green flag of like we're
Here's
gonna
what flowers are gonna do.
we're gonna include not even that, but also like we're gonna include some ideas already to show you like, hey, there will be encouraged like experimentation with 2 colors together and it
Yeah.
won't feel so weird. Like, you know what I mean? The fact
can-
that like there is a white card that benefits flowers, which means that if you combine her with flowers, you could build like a cool synergy deck, right? Like
I very easily see flowers being there's a flower in every color that helps the ruler that's not the flower ruler.
yeah, for sure. You
Like
could build a
there's
bouquet.
a flower that cares about beast or a flower that cares about blazing skills or something.
Yeah. And like things to encourage you. And that's also a really cool thing too, because you could even we could like include those in the like if there's cards that are crossovers, right? You could include them in these like basic versions of these rulers that we're going to build. And then we're like, hey, you see this card? Well, you can tag this ruler with this one from this other deck, and they'll interact with each other in a
Yeah.
cool way. And it's
I
like,
think
oh,
the only
okay.
problem with the starter deck idea is the chain. cards and how like relevant those are going to be.
Sure. The question becomes how many of them actually have chaining.
I assume that there is going to be one in every color.
Yeah, I think the super rares are going to be what caused the chaining.
Yeah.
And then like the super rares get better if you do the other things, but like the super rare by itself was already good.
Yeah, I
Like-
mean, it's just, oh man, that white one doesn't draw me 2 cards.
Or if it only draws me 2 cards.
Yeah.
Darn. Like, whoops. Yeah, I would dig a dual stone reprint in this set too. Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
I feel like
I doubt. Probably
like we're
do for
good
like a
on
basic
dual
dual
stones.
stone. I mean, I just like a reprint of like the OG ones.
Yeah.
Just to like have player access.
We are having that Wanderer supplement set.
That's true.
That's where I think we'll see those.
That makes sense to me too. Red Fairy also synergized with the Red Ruler's Regalia, so it's also mixed support.
I don't
because it
remember.
can discard. Because you discard a card and then you can like
yeah,
flip
yeah,
into
yeah.
flip into a J Ruler and then reanimate it. Yeah, that's neat. Like to see a starter deck like Lost Tomes, completely separate but high concept cards. Man, Lost Tomes was so cool if
Yeah.
only they had like maybe supported it just a smidge more.
Yeah, just
so you
slightly.
could literally play any other cards with it. Rough. Yeah, this is cool stuff. I'm excited. It has me very excited to see the rest of the set. Has me very curious to see more of the mechanics of the other 3 rulers, as well as just like I want to see these other extension rules, man. Like,
Yeah.
my theory of what the extension rules are going to be was thrown out the window as soon as they printed the first one.
Yeah, they really just tumbled it all. They're like, here you go. All the lore ones we assumed all on one card.
Yeah, exactly. Just like
So we
nah.
still have 2 more.
Yeah, we still what? Yeah, because my original assumption was the first one was going to be Lenneth plus Light Tree and all of Alice Cluster gets tags. Sebin plus Dark Tree and all of Lapis Cluster gets tagged, and then something for Lenneth to tag, probably like weirdly with Magna, like Lenneth can tag with Magna, and then you allow all of
Strangers and stuff.
Alice Origins rulers to tag. I mean, because Magna Lenneth would make sense,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
As like
definitely.
a tag combination. So like you know, Lenneth tags with Magna, and then all of Alice Origins rulers gets to tag. But they were like, nah, Lenneth and Sebin tag on the same card, and I was like, well,
who knows
I have no
what we're
idea.
doing now.
I have no idea.
Now, let me get your input on this. Do you think
Sure.
those will be spoiled, or are they going to just kind of keep those for release?
I think Crimson Moon Battleground was the last card spoiled.
Yeah.
And there was a delay of product, right? So the product's coming out later in the year.
In September, right?
In September, yeah. So I think it's a pushback of just a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 weeks.
Let me check. It's going to be released on the beauty of looking stuff up as we're doing it live. It's posting on. I want to follow the link. Please just do the thing. September 8th. And it was originally going to be released on August 24th or the weekend of the 25th. So it got pushed back 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean that's not massive. Probably
It's
just,
not huge.
Yeah.
So I think we probably will see the rule extension
Yeah.
beforehand.
Maybe
but
with
it'll
the
again
delay.
probably be the last cards.
Yeah.
So, and color me excited. I'm very excited. There's so many cool like Alice Origins or Lapis Cluster combinations that I think are legitimately relevant. That are going to be very, very cool to be able to
Yeah.
goof around with.
I definitely think they have a better chance of making splashes than the Grim Rulers.
Yeah, and like I think it's because I think the difference between Alice Origins and Crimson Moon Battleground versus what we're doing in this set is Crimson Moon Battleground was released, but really the only like support that came out was for Aristella plus Little Red.
Yeah.
Whereas this set is already showcasing some stuff that's like clearly usable for these older rulers, right?
Right.
And so there's a natural element of like wanting to goof around with that. So that'll be very interesting to see. Watch us get a new Chimera. Oh my gosh.
God,
please.
could you imagine?
Please, could you imagine? I would die. I would die. I absolutely would lose my mind if there was a new Chimera. Ugh, please.
They give us a new Ancient Magic because lol. Just a random chant that's just like, oh, by the way.
Well, so here's the interesting thing. It brought up an interesting conversation. There's the one Darkness Ancient Magic that puts a mana counter onto your ruler.
Yes.
And so the thought was, well, if I have 2 rulers with mana, does that mean both of them get a magic counter? So I can spend one mana counter and get 2 mana counters?
Yeah.
Just like, oh, that's a little scary.
And your opponent discards a card?
Yeah, just like looking at Alhamat being like,
Are you
not sure how I feel about this.
Are you about to be a problem again?
Yeah. Look, we got your card banned. I remember
when the FTK was on the table.
I remember recording a video showcasing the Cheshire Cat's assistant loop before the card was spoiled, showing an 80% success rate of just FTKing. And for sending it to the company through my back channels. I remember being like, you cannot let this happen.
Yeah. E-ban now.
Please. You cannot allow this to happen. You will just create a format of FTKs. And they did, and they stopped it. I was like, oh, thank God. There was still some Glass Cannon Alhamat stuff, but it wasn't freaking FTK Alhamat.
Yeah, then Alhamat behaved like you should have, which was this grindy control thing. It's like, yeah.
And there's some cool stuff for Alhamat nowadays with, like, Magic Stone Dance of Chaos and other things like that.
Yeah.
Right? So you combine, like, him having a second ruler to support him with being able to do that kind of stuff, more ways to be able to give himself Eternal on the dragon side. Like, and suddenly you're like, oh, double flip Alhamat seems like it could be a fun deck.
Might be a thing.
Like, I'd be down for that. So... There's a lot of cool stuff coming, and I'm very excited. I mean, Alice cluster into Lapis cluster into Rhea cluster is, genuinely considered to be quote unquote the golden days of like old Fow
release,
like Fow character design, fan favorites, cool mechanics, unique rulers, and so like the fact that we're coming back into that is like, okay, great. Yeah. And then add on top of the fact that a lot of us are playing ABC like constantly because we've all realized that like. Now that we've actually played it a bit, we're all just like, okay, cool. We want to play this more now. Yeah. Please, what cognate?
Wait, what is a cognate?
That's for Kane?
Oh, God.
Give Kane some ruler support.
Does he have rules texted about cognates?
It's just like a lot of the, like, cognates got, like, that was his archetype that came with him, was the cognates. So just like give him some new cognates to work off of. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff though. I'm excited to see what else. We'll be back next week for more spoilers. Tomorrow we will have our exclusive spoiler video. You can check that out. This Wednesday will not be a feature match because I'm still getting the feature match recorded. Very, very cool. We ran the final, like our take on the finals decks from Worlds against each other. Both of us did some little tiny tweaks to it to make them a little bit more locals friendly, but like kind of still showcasing the ideas of it. And let's just say those chases got complicated.
Yeah, I mean, having sat there and watched it, yeah.
Those chases got complicated. You haven't lived until you've Persephone'd your own Divine Lightning in response to a Wind Moon Child so that you can try to recast the same Divine Lightning to stop a contract.
Jeez.
Like that level of complicated. So we'll be editing that over the course of this week to have it posted for next week. It was a lot of fun, though. It was a cool match and cool to show more of those two decks kind of playing against each other. And then we'll be back next week with more spoilers. So gonna be a good time. Again, get your pre-orders in. Odyssey Games still has boxes. You should go check those out, as well as all the other cool links in the description. And go check out Lance Maverick, twitch.tv/Lance Maverick.
There may be a video of hours of carrying on the channel. I have the VOD downloaded.
Yeah, we did an ABC stream, and everyone bullied Lance.
Yes, that's everyone's favorite pastime whenever we're on my channel.
Is just bully Lance.
Yes.
We'll also be potentially, in place of a stream video on Wednesday, potentially doing our own ABC match stream on Wednesday. So you can come check us out in the evening if that happens. It'll be notified pretty early in the day if we figure out that that's going to happen. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Hey,
but
now
until
that
next
you know
time,
that spell table works.
And now I know that spell table works exactly. But that's it for us. So until next time, this is EMO73. I am joined by Lance Maverick. Class dismissed. Have a good night, everybody.